Hi everyone, Kleeful here, and welcome to Act 1 of the Hu Tao Impressario. I've realized it best to split my first impressions and pull recommendations separate from the more in-depth character analysis and math deep dive, if I even do one of those, and as such I'm going to split the Impressarios now into Act 1 for initial impressions and pull advice, and potential Act 2s for deeper math if more becomes known after release, or there is still important math that would make Act 1 too long to get out the day after release. I hope that by splitting these into smaller chunks, it helps to improve the responsiveness and quality of my videos produced. So today, we're here to cover my first impressions of and thoughts on Genshin Impact's very own Hu Tao. Hu Tao has been a very interesting unit to test. Oh, by the way, for those of you who are unaware, I was on stream with Jinx from Mathalos Gaming while he ran his tests. I had run mine a bit earlier. You should all drop a subscribe to him if you haven't already. It was great fun, and I look forward to any future jolly cooperation that surfaces. Back to Hu Tao. She is a very interesting unit to test. She fits best into a Pyro Type A pivot, and the most TLDR way to break her down is to basically call her kit and playstyle the love child between Keqing and Tartaglia. She basically has child syndrome, where she wants to be only doing things while within her elemental skill, as it's a major damage buff to her. She also prefers to only ult while in her elemental skill if possible, and then she wants to charge spam just like Keqing does. See, to briefly explain why, Hu Tao really wants to be run in a vape team, like DILUC.
Who'd I guess?
And the reason she wants this so much is every time she hits with her charge attack, it vapes. As such, she is a very capable vape unit and does a lot of DPS. The only issue with this is, like Keqing, is she burns through her stamina. This is one of her many caveats, which are the only thing that hold her back from her true potential. More on this later. As a very TLDR optimization section, her best set will be 4P switch, due to her running vape reactions so very well. Her weapon tiers are a bit jacked up, but the general order of best to worst is Homa, followed by Primordial Jade Spear at max stacks, followed by Dragon's Bane, followed by Deathmatch, which is about equal to a 4-stack Leeway Spear, which is greater than a Primordial Jade Spear with no stacks, which is greater than a Blackcliff. Honorable mention does go to White Tassel, which is about 10% lower than Blackcliff, but you have to consider it is a 3-star weapon, so it's quite surprising that it manages to do this. That, and it's cheap to level and ascend. By the way, 2 stacks on the Leeway Spear is about on par with Blackcliff, and all of these are running Refinement 1 weapons. Having more refinements on, say, Dragon's Bane versus Deathmatch or Leeway Spear can change up the ratios, but I haven't run those specific numbers yet. Basically, if you don't have any of these weapons and have Star Glitter, get yourself a Blackcliff Spear, she deserves it. The main reason why is all other options generally fall quite short of these. Note these rankings are for weapons with optimized stat layouts for the specific weapons, and the rankings stay the same regardless of artifact quality. So do note in your specific use case, Blackcliff might wind up being better than Deathmatch or vice versa, just because you have a different layout of stats. As for her power ranking, she has a slew of caveats which lower her overall value. Some of the most important ones are as follows. Can you manage your stamina effectively? Can you jump cancel her charge on large enemies she can pass through? Is she below 50% HP, or does she have a stacked Bennett? How effectively can you rotate and pivot around her 10-second uptime on her E? By default it's 9, but hit stun does extend it a bit. Now, this may start sounding familiar, Xiao video, But I'm going to tell you right now that so long as you can manage the stamina issue and maintain a good amount of below half health uptime, or run a Bennett, she is a very, very powerful unit. As such, she falls into a weird place for her power scaling. She has much higher burst damage than DILUC, but her downtime and stamina constraints make that peak ceiling a hard place to stay for a long period of time. Even when she's not at that ceiling, she still has higher single target damage than DILUC, but DILUC does have an easier time consolidating his hits on multiple targets at once, which can make him hit a higher DPS depending on how much he hits AoE versus Hu Tao. But this is enemy and matchup dependent as well. She can function without Bennett and excel just as well as if she did have Bennett, but does require her to maintain below 50% HP. Again, she does a lot of damage, but her team DPS suffers due to her awkward rotation timings. And auto-target for her charge can be a nightmare at times, such as fighting Sissin mages. It's a complex situation, however, even with all of this, and at the time I participated on stream with Jinx, even he put her value and power capability at DILUC level overall, at least. The best part is that as we gain better units to make the most of her ability timing and downtime, she will be able to reach closer and closer to that ceiling she has. To make the most TLDR comparison I can, Zhao was DILUC level and then had caveats. Hu Tao is DILUC level because of her caveats. And this is a good thing, because it means as we get to better explore her potential and combat these caveats, she will eventually grow to exceed him. For my recommendation on if you should pull her or not, I'm personally moving away from having must pull as a tier. I'm a gacha veteran who's been in more gacha games than I can count, and I've been in all walks of the gacha spectrum, from free-to-play to full-on whale, and even in between, where I should be free-to-play, but I've whaled myself into debt. I've done it all, I've seen it all, and because of that, I'm going to have a video coming out relatively soon on how I plan to recommend units going forward, and what my experience has personally taught me. But, again, I have digressed. I feel Hu Tao is better than DILUC, though she does have more skill requirements, which in part is one of the reasons why she's so fun. She has a very, very large DPS potential, and a very easy to understand game plan, with room to grow in power level as Genshin's roster develops further. As such, I feel she is 100% worth attempting to pull if you don't have a built pyro pivot currently, such as DILUC or Klee. If you have a DILUC or Klee, or you run a DPS Bennett, she is still an amazing unit that has a lot of value as a 5-star pull, but it is up to you whether you want to pull another unit in a slot you already have populated. I can't really tell you what to do here, as it's very opinionated and a case-by-case, do what you would like to do basis. If you are on the fence about her, or are unsure whether it would be better to potentially wait for a stronger unit, I personally would wait to see what we might be getting in 1.4 of the game, since we should be getting a stream teasing what we're getting relatively soon. And waiting for that and making an informed decision would probably be the best way to move forward. I thank you all again for taking the time out of your busy schedule to again peruse my opinions on characters in Genshin Impact. As always, you guys are amazing. Massive thumbs up to you all. Thank you very much for hitting that 5,000 subscriber goal, and I think at this point we're almost at 6,000, which, we're blowing up a bit. Hooray, I guess. But either way, thank you all very much for watching. It's greatly appreciated. If you're new here, do make sure to hit that subscribe button, as I have a bunch of really cool and interesting videos coming out in the future. There's also the bell if you ever want to ding it, but that's up to you. Likes, as always, are appreciated, and I will see you all again in the next video.